The Ten Commandments was one of the most audacious undertakings in the history of cinema, and it had a then staggering budget of $13 million. The iconic Cecil B. DeMille directed the 1956 biblical epic, and every A-lister in Tinseltown wanted to work with the legendary auteur. And Baxter won the coveted role of Queen Nefertiti, and she became almost as well known for her revealing costumes as for her acting performance.
Who hatched this lie, Ramses?
Welcome to Do You Remember? I am Nostalgic Nick. And Baxter was fired from her first major Broadway role because the First Lady of Cinema, Katharine Hepburn, didn't care for her acting style. She also once spoiled Bette Davis's 1951 Oscar hopes, while destroying her career at 20th Century Fox in the process. Anne was an award-winning actress who appeared in some of the most successful movies of all time, but she was definitely not Egyptian. So, just how did this Irish-American beauty land such a coveted role? We're gonna talk all about it.
So let it be written. So let it be done.
But before we begin, hit that thumbs up icon to show support. And subscribe to our channel so you never miss a new video. Now it's time for us to journey across the desert and learn all about Anne Baxter, our favorite girl next door. A Queen is Born. Anne Baxter was born May 7, 1923 in Michigan City, Indiana, to Catherine and Kenneth Baxter. Her maternal grandfather was legendary architect Frank Lloyd Wright, and her father was an executive with the Seagram Company. She grew up in Westchester County, New York, and appeared in her first school play when she was 5. After watching Helen Hayes on Broadway when she was 10, Baxter informed her family then and there that she wanted to be an actress. She first appeared on Broadway at 13, and her star was on the rise in 1939, when she was cast as Katharine Hepburn's younger sister in the play The Philadelphia Story. But Catherine of Arrogance didn't hit it off with the teenage ingenue, and she had Anne replaced. But Anne wasn't discouraged, and she headed to Hollywood to read for Mrs. De Winter in Alfred Hitchcock's Rebecca. Hitch thought she was too young for the role, but 20th Century Fox signed her to a 7-year contract. The Girl Next Door. Contract players were frequently loaned out to other studios as needed, and Anne Baxter's first film role was on MGM's 20 Mule Team, where she received 4th billing.
I don't think he meant to boast of it. He spoke of it quite calmly.
She got her first starring role at Fox in 1941's Swamp Water. And she also starred in The Pied Piper, which received a Best Picture nod at the 1942 ceremonies. Next, Anne was loaned to RKO to work with Orson Welles on The Magnificent Ambersons. As the U.S. entered World War II, Anne Baxter reached a new height in stardom with top billing in The North Star, The Sullivans, and The Eve of St. Mark. Her films were a huge hit with the soldiers, and she said, quote, "I was getting almost as much mail as Betty Grable. I was our boys' idolized girl next door." All About Eve. Anne Baxter played the title role in All About Eve, opposite Bette Davis. When the Academy Awards approached, producer Daryl F. Zanuck wanted to place her in the Supporting Actress category, since he believed it would secure Oscar gold for both her and Davis. But she reminded Zanuck that the movie was not called All About Margot, and refused. Both actresses were nominated, but the Oscar went to Judy Holliday for her performance in Born Yesterday. According to Baxter, quote, "Betty was more than mildly upset, Zanuck more so."
You better sit down. You look a bit wobbly.
She also said that incident officially ended her career at 20th Century Fox. Celeste Holm and Thelma Ritter were both nominated in the Supporting Actress category, but the Oscar went to Josephine Hull for her performance in Harvey. Cecil Comes Calling. 20th Century Fox had previously considered Baxter for the title role in David and Bathsheba, but director Henry King told her he didn't think she could portray a biblical queen and gave the part to Susan Hayward. We imagine that King regretted that decision later. After leaving Fox in 1953, Ann Baxter dyed her hair blonde and transformed herself into a sex symbol, posing for alluring cheesecake photos. The publicity stunt worked, and she was offered the part as Queen Nefertiti in Cecil B. DeMille's epic film.
A man stupid enough to use you for a footstool would not be wise enough to rule Egypt.
Audrey Hepburn was Paramount's first choice, but she was ultimately judged too slender. When Baxter asked if she'd have to wear an Egyptian nose, he replied, quote, "No, Baxter, your Irish nose stays in this picture." It was regarded as the most sought-after role of the year, and Ann Baxter agreed to a modest salary for the privilege of acting in one of DeMille's films. 10 Commandments, 9 Beards. According to the biography Cecil B. DeMille, A Art in Life, William Boyd was offered the role of Moses, but passed because he was busy shooting his hit TV show Hopalong Cassidy. DeMille then cast Charlton Heston because he strongly resembled a miniature version of Michelangelo's statue of Moses.
Go. Proclaim liberty throughout all the lands.
Chuck wore 9 different beards throughout filming, and his newborn son Fraser played the infant Moses. DeMille was a stickler for accuracy and timed the filming of his scenes for when Fraser was about 3 months old, the same age as baby Moses when his mother put him in the basket on the Nile. Bearing it all. Queen Nefertiti wore some very revealing costumes, even by today's standards. But Ann Baxter revealed that she was wearing a skin-dyed bra and G-string underneath her outfit in her 1976 autobiography. She also wrote a newspaper article in 1955 entitled "Egyptian Queen Role Presents Problem for Modern Movie Star." She discussed ancient Egyptian beauty tips and the things she learned about seduction while preparing for the role. She said that it was surprising how much the ladies of that day knew about the art of stalking a man. Parting the Red Sea. The 10 Commandments used extensive visual effects, which weren't completed before the final edit. Disney animator Joshua Meador was loaned to Paramount Pictures to animate the Pillar of Fire using cell animation, and the swirling white sparks came from burning magnesium, filmed in slow motion.
And he bars our way with fire. Let us go from this place. Men cannot fight against a god.
The crew did shoot significant portions of the film in Egypt, but most of the film was shot on the Paramount lot. The Red Sea was parted by flooding large dump tanks and then reversing the film footage. The stunt people and horses were frightened and almost seriously hurt after having over 1,000 gallons of water dumped on them. So yeah, they refused to do another take. Uncharacteristically, the highly demanding Cecil B. DeMille agreed that once was enough. An orgy fit for the whole family. When you're producing a film for viewers of all ages, filming an orgy can be quite challenging. The sequence took 3 weeks to film, and the extras became accustomed to hundreds of takes and contradictory directions. Cecil B. DeMille was making one of many long speeches when he became distracted by 2 extras having a conversation. He asked them what in the devil was so important that it couldn't wait until after the shot. And the embarrassed young woman spoke up and said, quote, "I was just saying to my friend here, I wonder when the bald-headed old fart is gonna call lunch." DeMille was unfazed. He briefly stared at the woman, and then he lifted his megaphone and shouted, "Lunch." Ann Baxter claims it's the only time she ever saw the legendary director crack a smile on set. Life after the 10 Commandments. Ann Baxter met her first husband, John Hodiak, in 1944 when they co-starred in Sunday Dinner for a Soldier. They married in 46 and had 1 daughter. But the couple divorced in 1953, and Baxter blamed herself for the failed marriage in her autobiography. She then famously rebounded with Filippo Altolitano, a reputed mobster with ties to the Gambino family. Baxter met her second husband, Randolph Galt, when she was filming Summer of the 17th Doll in Australia. They married in 1960, and the couple had 2 daughters together, but divorced in 1970. She then married stockbroker David Klee in 1977. but he died unexpectedly after only 9 months of marriage. Anne Baxter never remarried, and she made numerous memorable TV appearances in the 1960s.
Oh, how wonderful. What a joy to entertain small children.
In 1985, Anne Baxter had a brain aneurysm while walking down Madison Avenue, and her family took her off life support after 8 days. The great Anne Baxter is buried in Wyoming, Wisconsin, on her grandfather Frank Lloyd Wright's estate. Like many other actors of the time, Anne Baxter jumped at the chance to act in Cecil B. DeMille's film. Little did she know it would be his last. She was an unlikely choice to play an Egyptian queen, but fans of the film can't imagine anyone else in the role. Adjusted for inflation, it's the 7th highest grossing movie of all time. But that's enough of me, now we want to hear from you. Queen Nefertiti was one of her most iconic roles, but we want to know which one was your favorite. Do you think The 10 Commandments was Cecil B. DeMille's undisputed masterpiece? Get in the comments and tell us all things 10 Commandments. Who grew up watching this film at least once a year? Before you go, hit that thumbs up icon to show support and part the Red Sea for us. Subscribe to our channel for all things nostalgia. But from all of us here at Do You Remember, we want to thank you for watching.